Okay, so I'm knocking on the door and you're answering.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, I was just walking around the neighborhood and kind of getting to know the neighborhood, and I'm a local realtor. So do you live in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a family?
Yes, I do have a family.
Oh, okay, great. Um, do you have kids in your family?
Yes, I do have.
Oh, okay. Um, what do you work?
No, now I'm not working.
Oh, you're not working. Oh, okay. Um, okay. Uh, well, well, what do you do stuff for fun?
No,
Oh, you don't. Okay.
no.
Notice how I'm asking all in close-ended questions. I don't know anything about you, really.
Yes.
And it's not helping to go any far, and it's not a comfortable conversation at that point in the conversation. If I'm on somebody's, or somebody comes to my front door and they're asking me questions like that, I'm like, get out of here. No, thank you, not going to go anywhere. So instead, if you did the knock knock, let's go ahead and do this again. So knock knock, and you open the door.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, I'm a local, realtor. My name's Rob, and I'm working through the neighborhood. By the way, I noticed on your front lawn, you have some beautiful roses growing, and I just wanted to kind of compliment. In fact, they caught my eye as I walked by, so I just wanted to let you know that. But I wanted to come by and just get to know everyone and see how I can help them. By the way, I was wondering, how long have you lived in the neighborhood?
I've been living here since my childhood.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that must be really interesting. What kind of changes have you seen?
Oh, a lot have changed, huh? Especially the past recent years. A lot
Really?
of have changed, yes.
So, okay, what are like some of the biggest change you've seen in the neighborhood?
Uh, well, I will say that years back, we didn't have so many people living around here. But recently, there are so many construction going around, and the places keep on improving, and we see more people coming, moving in. So the place look like more kind of town now.
Oh, okay. So a lot more. What do you think of that? What's your opinion of all of that taking place?
It, it is good because since I have been here since my childhood, I can see how the place have been changing and growing, becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. This street used to be empty. You could drive without traffic, but today you see cars everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Does that affect your, how does that affect your commute to work?
Not that much. I'm used to. So it's my place. So I've been living here for long, and I'm comfortable. I understand how the city is growing.
Okay. Well, that totally makes sense. Um, well, I I actually have some buyers that are interested in the neighborhood. I was wondering, who in the neighborhood do you know? I know it seems like you're really happy here, but who in the neighborhood do you know might thinking of making a move soon?
Uh, uh, to be honest with you, I know the one next to me on the left, on the right, and that person right opposite there. Others are just new coming, like that one there. They just move in. So many people have moved out, but I still know like 3 to 4 people, and the 3 to 4 that I know, they're like in their 80s, and I don't see them selling any property right now. Perhaps you could go across there and ask those one. They may know someone who's about to sell. But the 4 that I know that we have been here for long, I don't think that there will be any of them will be selling any property soon.
Okay. Wow. That's really interesting. Thank you for letting me know that. I would love to come by again, because I don't want to take up your entire day. But what's one thing that you would tell me about this neighborhood that would be key to know?
What I can tell you about this new neighborhood is that most people here are senior people. Even those that recently moved, when I look at their age, there's no one less than 60. So it is
Wow.
not, most people live in this neighborhood are like kind of senior. So it's very quiet and it's very peaceful.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. By the way, I said my name is Rob, and who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Walking to Etienne.
Oh, pleasure to meet you. And I'll be coming by again. So I would hope it's okay if I were to come by again and say hello. And here's my card. If you need anything having to do with real estate or even just a resource like a plumber or something like that, please feel free to reach out.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. Now, if you notice in a lot of that, my questions to Etienne were more of the what, who, when, where, how, and why. So, he said he'd been living there with a while. And so if you notice, I first started talking about the neighborhood and I didn't have to go on to any of these subjects. It's like, okay, let's just stay focused on that conversation. So I don't have to know about all these other things, that are involved in there. He mentioned to me like, oh, because I asked, well, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? Oh, I've lived in my whole life. So then I tailed off of that. Oh, what's one of the, the things that you've seen change over this time? So then he tells me about that. I did cover the occupation part. And I said, well, how is, and I caught myself. I said, oh, that must have affected your commute. And I was like, nope. I said, so tell me, how has that affected your commute? Well, then he's like, no, it really hasn't affected it at all. I'm pretty much used to it. Oh, okay. But it allows that conversation to continue and to flow, and to go back and forth. And if you notice, then I even started asking, certain questions, which I really like, tell me what's one thing that is most important. And then he's telling me, that kind of stuff. And it allows. Now, Etienne, he actually focused on something where, he was saying in this particular neighborhood that I'm door knocking in, I know this is all hypothetical, but in this particular neighborhood, they're all seniors. Well, that told me, oh, okay, people have lived in this neighborhood for a while. So then I would know when I start farming this neighborhood to cater to that. I would know, oh, okay, I'm probably looking at, people that are older. I'd maybe even want to talk to my title rep about who's been in the home for a long period of time. They may be thinking of moving. I may want to start to provide materials or just resources that kind of have to do with that, or provide resources of like, oh, what's some health tips as you age, or what are some key phone numbers to keep track of, or any of those sort of things that may be more conducive to that. If it's just the opposite, let's say you're in a neighborhood and it's all young families, then obviously that's not the stuff you're going to do. You're going to talk about, oh, well, what if you start to outgrow your home? The family's gotten bigger. Well, how do you move into a new home? You may want to provide those materials. That's even some of the stuff that you don't know by door knocking a neighborhood what the demographic is, but by asking the people when you're door knocking, you can get that information. So that's why I wanted to cover some of this and kind of segue into it, and it went very well, yay. Because what we're covering today is what's the goal of all our interactions, and the goal is to set the appointment. That is always your goal. Now, I'm going to tell you, because I'm very honest with this, the first brokerage I was at totally sucked. And their idea was setting the appointment meant you were going to have them sign a contract. And that's not what it is. Setting the appointment is you're face-to-face with someone. Setting the appointment is you're face-to-face with someone. That means that you're getting together with them. And the easy thing is coffee, okay? At least for me it is, because I drink coffee all the time. So it may be coffee. It may be, I've done this with other people, like we both have dogs. Hey, do you want to meet at the dog park? We've done that. Maybe you're actually just popping by their place and dropping off something cute. And at times I've provided you guys with cute little pop-bys. One I can tell you that's coming up is the 4th of July. Yes, I know that's a few months away, but like with the 4th of July, you can buy those little American flags at like the dollar stores, and then you can pop by with something like that. And you can put a little cute little thing on it saying, I'm just saluting to you or whatever, just something cute like that, but it's face to face. That face to face interaction is what deepens the relationship. Because again, if 75% of your transactions, which studies have shown that's pretty much the average, some years it's 78, some years it's 73, so we're going to say 75. If 75% of your transactions come from people you already know, then how do you deepen those relationships and how do you expand? And part of that is you're setting the appointment. So when you are doing that kind of stuff, then you're front of mind. I just had this conversation this morning. I was at, we call it Wake Up Whittier, and it's a breakfast that our chamber always hosts once a month. And I was just speaking with people around our table about that. And I said, yeah, you want to be front of mind. If I'm talking to you, the average person moves every 9 to 10 years right now. If I'm talking to you and it's year 6, then you probably don't need to talk to me about what you're going to do with your house because you're living in it and you're not moving. But what if 3 years goes by, or I'm talking to you at year 8 and you're still maybe thinking about it, but still not that close. But I'm talking to you and I keep in touch with you. When you're ready to make that move and pull the trigger, if I'm the first person you think of, then that's how you get the deal. And that's the kind of person you want to be. So let's talk about how to get the appointment, how to get to that point. First, if you call on the phone, one of the great things is use exactly what I had posted a second ago. Use the forward. And it does also help when you're doing face-to-face if it's somebody that you don't quite know that well yet, but you want to get to know better. So you can ask family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. For instance, tomorrow I have a 10 a.m. So it's an early, it's either it's probably more of a brunch with somebody in my city. And I know a little bit about him. He knows a little bit about me. Part of the conversation is I'm just going to ask some of these questions. I'm going to ask some of the background. I'm going to ask some of that stuff, and that'll just allow our conversation to flow. It'll give me more information. And again, it's going to be open-ended questions. So you don't want questions where people can answer yes, no, good, okay, that kind of stuff. So, yes or no is, have you lived in the neighborhood for a long time? Yes. Okay. So do you like the neighborhood? Yes. Oh, see, that goes nowhere. Or how do you feel about this neighborhood? And they may say good. Okay, then you got to expand on that. Well, what's one of the things that really you like about the neighborhood? That'll cause it to be more open-ended then. And there's times too that you may ask a question and maybe close-ended, but then you follow up with an open-ended one. It could be something like, oh, so do your kids really like the neighborhood? Yes, knowing that you're going to say, oh, what's one of the things they really like about the neighborhood? That then leads to the open-ended question part, and then allows you to go from there. If you use focus questions, and this is one I love because it just is very effective. It allows people to really think about something and give you the answer. Plus, it's kind of like you're not, especially in a situation where you may get the feeling like the person doesn't want to be interviewed, basically, or interrogated. So you can just ask, hey, what's one thing you've seen change at your work this past year? Very simple, but it allows them to talk about it. As in this past year, they could say, well, we've seen a lot of people working from home. Now it's more of a hybrid situation. And we're kind of dealing with that. Oh, well, do you like that or do you not like that? What's your opinion of that? And again, do you like that is closed-ended, but then you go into, well, what's your opinion? And then that makes it open-ended. And as you heard, I did this one with Etienne. What's the one thing do you really like about your neighborhood? And that's an easy one to ask, but it's open-ended and people then can start sharing, what's the one thing? If you're talking about the family and where they like to go, hey, you know what? What's one place that your family really likes to vacation? What's one thing they really like to do? And I even mentioned in here, if any of the above questions are short, like, oh, well, they like going to the beach. Oh, okay. Well, why is that? What do you guys like to do at the beach? You can just follow up with that sort of thing. They like to go to, sometimes some people like favorite states, oh, well, we like to go to Idaho. Oh, that's really interesting. Why do you guys like going to Idaho? And then it goes, kind of goes on and you get more of that information. Then ask them, when you're tying up the conversation, you can always say, which I kind of did with Etienne, by the way, who do you know, and since I was door knocking, I would say it in that manner, who do you know in your neighborhood that you think may be making a real estate move soon? And so, you're asking that question, whether they're able to give you an answer or not, thank them for that. Thank them for thinking of taking the time and thinking about it. Hey, I really appreciate you thinking about it. And if they don't have anybody comes to mind, can you do me a favor? If you do know of someone, can you please let me know? Because I would love to be able to help them. That would be something. And then, and if you want to too, I was at a commercial seminar, lunch last week, and some of the commercial agents said, one of the things that really helped them with their business is they added on, by the way, who do you know that is maybe wanting to make a business real estate move soon? Because a lot of times, you're talking to somebody and you're in a neighborhood, so it's all residential, but people may be wanting to make a business move pretty soon. For instance, I've got some really good friends of mine that they've talked about moving for a few years now. Part of that move is they're going to be selling their business as well. So that's one of those things that, let's say I'm not talking to them, they actually don't know another realtor aside from me. So that would be one. If somebody door knocked on their door and, they would say like, well, we're thinking about moving in maybe a year. Oh, okay, great. And then, oh, by the way, do you know who's making a business real estate move? Well, actually, we're going to sell the business when we move as well, too. We're totally getting out of this area. Then that allows you maybe to have another deal in the process. So it kind of, it allows you to do it. But if you notice the way this is all done, it makes it where it's comfortable. Conversations don't have to be that long. They can be short or they can go long. Now, if they go a little bit too long, of course, like I mentioned at the end, there's ways to get out of it, especially, and using your cell phone is one of the easiest ways to do that. But if the conversation is going well, you let it flow. And then I always like to follow up and say, by the way, of course, I'm going to be coming back to the neighborhood. Would it be possible? I would love to follow up with you and just swing by and say hi. Oh, sure. If the conversation went well, of course, they're going to say, oh, sure, that sort of thing. Or if you're, talking to somebody on the phone and so on. But when you're calling to somebody on the phone, you're not face to face. So if you want to set the appointment, then that's when it could be like, hey, you know what? I really had a great time talking with you. How about we get coffee sometime? How would that be? And then if they say yes, set the appointment then, or get a time frame. Now, a lot of times I will tell people when they ask me, hey, are you available this week? Yeah, let me check my calendar, Thursday or Friday. Then I won't push for a time necessarily then. If they don't know, like if they're saying, well, I'll know at the end of the day what the end of my week is looking like. Okay, great. Then I will follow up because I've already asked to set the appointment. Then I'll follow up because now I'm just setting a time. But let's say they already know their schedule and you were to say, hey, by the way, how about we get coffee later this week? Would that be good? Yeah, that'd be great. Well, how's Friday at 10 a.m.? Does that work for you? Oh, Friday would be good. Or you know what? 10 a.m. doesn't work. How's 11 a.m.? Fine, whatever, but then you can set the appointment and then you're face to face with them. That's what's going to really help. You want to set that appointment to do that. Any questions on this part here?
No, this is great. Thank you, Rob.
Sure. Well, we got more. So texting, when you text someone or social media, because let's face it, a lot of people do Facebook Messenger just as much as they do, or Instagram, or all the other ones. In fact, my tattoo artist never answers his cell phone, but if I text him through Instagram, he gets back to you. So I learned he's an Instagram guy. But if you want to call them, it's always great to ask permission. Hey, do you have time for a quick call? Because if they answer yes, then they're going to pick up the phone. because you asked permission. As opposed, if you call somebody out of the blue, like Ashley, if I just call you out of the blue and I go to your voicemail, I'm like, I don't know if, well, does Ashley just now want to talk to me? Did I go to voicemail? You know, what's the deal? She may be like, oh, what is that? Where if, because you don't know if that call is coming in, what is that going to be? But if I say, hey, do you have time for a quick business call? Or if you want to make it personal, you know, and a lot of times these calls may be personal too. Do you have time for a quick call? You're going to need to gauge which it is. Okay. I've got in my phone, I've got 1,600 people on my phone. There's a few, trust me, there's like maybe 100 or 150 that are going to get deleted, but still that's a lot of people on my phone. So some of the people, if I'm going to go ahead and text them and I want to talk to them on the phone, I'm going to ask them just a very quick, simple question sometimes. And so like, I'm thinking of someone in particular, Jenny Ball, who happens to be a property manager in the area. If I were to text her and say, hey, Jenny, do you have time for a quick business call? Because I know her, but we're not necessarily friends, at least not yet, but I know her pretty well. And so if she were to answer yes, I would call her up and then I would be just direct. I'd make sure it's quick. Hey, Jenny, it was really good of you to take my call. Thank you so much. And it was great to see you the other day. I was just wanting to reach out, and she happens to be a property manager. And I just want to let you know, if anybody needs any help with any of their properties, you know, even a resource, or if you need something managing them, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you in any way I can, you know, and I just wanted you to know that and just tell you personally. Sure, Rob, that'd be great. Okay, thanks. Bye. Now, what I would do is I would follow up and send a thank you card for the time. But that would be a situation where it's a quick business call, because Jenny and I are not on those terms where it could be any more than that. Let's say I were to call up a friend of mine. I'm thinking of Elizabeth Martinez, and with her, I would say, hey, do you have time for a quick call? And because we're friends, I mean, we've got coffee together, we've done things together before, so I can call her and I can mix a little bit of the two. Hey, I was giving you a call. I wanted to know, how are things going with your new job? I know you've been there now for over a year. And is it really, you know, what's some of the things you've discovered in it that you really enjoy? Bingo, open-ended questions. You can tell me a little bit about it, blah, blah, blah. But I remember I said quick, so I'm not going to take too long, you know, and then it's like, hey, and we've talked about getting coffee. How is this Friday looking for you? Would this week be good, or would next week be better? You know, of course, I want to give people options, but still, I want to set the appointment and then actually get in front of them and just have that conversation. And even if they're like, well, I'm really busy. Hey, no problem. I'm just looking at 30 minutes. You know, it's just been a while and it would be great to get coffee with you. And I really, you know, appreciate your time. That kind of thing. That's all you're asking. Let's say you know somebody really well, you know, and you can have that kind of a conversation. Or they've approached you, or it could be a number of things. This gentleman that I've kind of known indirectly, and I saw him at the Whittier Prayer Breakfast on Friday. His name's David. He texted me and we've been going back and forth. And so then he just said, hey, how's this Friday coffee at 9 a.m.? And so, you know, I got back to him and we're gonna get coffee probably this Friday. It depends, you got to judge the level. But when you're texting, it allows you to open that door to set the appointment. And again, if you do the quick business call or a quick call, you can make it short, but it's asking permission that if you think about the dynamic of it, you've asked permission if they would basically take the call and then you call them. So then you know they're going to answer it, as opposed to just out of the blue. So that's one of those things you can do. I would say on whenever you have an interaction, you know, like that, always send a note card, a thank you card, appreciating that time, you know, sort of thing. It doesn't hurt to send a business card in it, you know, sometimes, you know, that sort of thing. It allows you to deepen that relationship. And I've made the mistake of thinking like, oh, I gave them my business card 6 months ago. I'm sure they still have it. Yeah, probably not. Or maybe they've misplaced it. It never hurts if somebody has 3 or 4 of your business cards as opposed to 0. So think of it that way. But if you send a note card, and that's what you're doing just out of the blue, and you can put a number of things in there, but like you want to get together with this person, you can drop in like a Starbucks card. I bought a bunch of the Starbucks cards in bulk. There we go. And I just put $5 on each card. And on some of the people that I would love to get together and get coffee with, I'm sending them a card and with a Starbucks card in it. And I said, you know, I put in there, hey, it was great seeing you, or hey, I appreciate you know, what you've done, or hey, I was thinking of you today. It would be great if we got coffee and caught up. In fact, here's the Starbucks card. Let me know a time and place. There's a thing called reciprocity. And what that is that if you give something to somebody, then they want to give you something back. And it's not manipulation, it's human nature. I don't want it to seem like you're trying to manipulate someone. It's simply human nature, where when you give something, people want to give something back. So if you give them a Starbucks card, then a lot of times they'll want to give you their time and get together. And then you just, and again, you're just deepening a relationship. That's what you're doing. But now you've used that avenue to set up a time where you can get face-to-face with someone and you can have that conversation. It was a huge enlightenment to me, as I mentioned, that when somebody said, no, setting the appointment is just getting face-to-face with them, I was like, oh, that's a lot different than always doing everything real estate and making sure they sign a contract or, you know, broker buyer agreement or any of that stuff. No, it's just getting face-to-face, because when you have those kind of relationships too, a lot of times you'll have people that when they are ready to make a move in real estate, they'll call you and they'll say, by the way, I'm ready to do something. Do you have time next week? Do you mind if I give you a call? And that's where those things come from. The gentleman that we may be doing a commercial deal with him, it depends if he likes his property, I showed him. I know him from the gym, and I've kept in touch with him, and I've sent him note cards at times, and I've sent him Christmas cards and that kind of stuff. And then the last time I saw him at the gym a few months ago, he's like, listen, I need to expand. If you know of any commercial space where I can be, up to 10,000 square feet, that could really help. Just let me know anything you know that's out there. Sure. I came across something, I sent it his way. That's what happened. But it was just because I was been in contact with him. And then when he needed something, he contacted me. Okay, any questions on the social media or the note cards? Okay, pretty quiet. Okay, some follow-up to make sure that it really helps. One is, I'm assuming you guys are using Command as your CRM, but whenever you're sending this stuff, you want to pretty much have your CRM open. If you're sending note cards, you want to have your CRM open. If you're on the phone with them, have your CRM open. If you're texting, have your CRM open. The reason why is then you can record what you've been doing, what the conversation is, how things went. Now, of course, you're not going to be on the phone and typing saying, wait, what was that? How many kids do you have? And you're typing in. No, you don't want to do that. Obviously, you want to really do the follow-up afterwards, but then it allows you to follow up and make sure, because what happens is when you're reaching out to so many people and you're talking to them, oh yeah, I remember sending them a card, but then a week later, you're kind of like, did I say I was going to send them a card or did I send them a card? I don't remember. And that's where that kind of stuff kind of falls into play. I can give you another example. This lovely lady I know, Sue Grana, who's with the Santa Fe Springs Chamber, and her and I worked on the career days for the high schoolers together. Her birthday is next Tuesday, and a week from this Tuesday. And I sent her a birthday card, but right now I wrote out a note card for her because she's actually leaving the chamber, and I just wanted to write a note card and blah, blah, blah. Again, front of mind, something to remind her. And I looked at her address and I'm thinking, wait a minute, did I send her something? I can't remember. So I looked in my CRM, I didn't have the note card recorded. So that let me know, oh, that's right. I sent her a birthday card, but I haven't sent her a note card yet. So I made out the note card and that's going in the mail today. So having that CRM allows you to record that information and record what you've done, whether it was a phone call, whether it was this and that kind of stuff. And it helps you to keep track. Helps you keep track of like, well, what are they wanting to do? How many kids do they have? Are they wanting to move? You know, what career do they have? Many times the CRMs will have areas in there, will be like, what are their hobbies? What things are they involved in? What kind of food they like? Any of those sort of things. And some of that you can customize as well, especially with tags in Command. And that allows you to remember all of that information. And again, it's a thing, you want to remember all this information and you really want to serve these people, but it's hard to keep it all, you know, kind of going. And so having somewhere where all of this is in there makes a big difference. If you do get together with somebody, I would say the next day to email them and thank them for their time. Hey, just want to let you know, I had a great time yesterday and I really appreciate you taking out the time. And then, and by the way, you can make out the very next day as well, the note card. Now, think about the timeline. You send them an email, they get it that day. You make out a note card and the earliest they're going to get it is 2 days later. So yes, you can make it out at the same time. And you can just indicate that, hey, also want to let you know that because you've already thanked them. So, you know, I did appreciate your time, and any questions you have about real estate or any way I can be a resource or for anyone, you know, please let me know. I'm always here to help. Okay, thanks. And that could be in your note card you send or your thank you card. And because they're going to get it 2 to 3 days later, it just impacts them more. And then if you want, like 7 days after that, you can contact them on social media and just send a message, you know, hey, great to see you, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, you can look at their postings. Hey, I noticed you did that. It looks really cool, or whatever, you know, sort of thing. That will help with the follow-up as well. That will help. You've already started building that relationship. You've already had that interaction. Then this will actually make it go deeper. And when you do that, it really makes a big difference. When I first came to this office, and I talked to Joey and I said, listen, I'm more of a networking referral agent. And I came from an office that was very much not that way. And they were doing like a lot of postcards and flyers and just mailers just to generic people and trying to get anybody they can, basically, you know, throw spaghetti and see what's stuck to the wall. And Joey said, you know, Rob, you'd probably be better off taking some of your best clients out to dinner and spending the money doing that than sending a bunch of generic postcards to a neighborhood where you don't know anyone. The reason why is because if I already have a relationship with a lot of these clients, let's say I go to dinner with them, then it deepens that relationship. And the next time they know of someone who needs to do something in real estate, you're the front of mind person. And that's the person you want to be. Okay. So what if you want more? What if you need more? You know, it's like, well, great, Rob, I'm glad you have 1,400 people in your phone, but I don't. And how do I expand? Well, ask yourself, who is in your world or who could be in your world? Okay. So it's not only who is in your world, but how can you bring people in your world? Who could it be? I just have some examples down there. You know, what if there's a bowling group or a softball group? I used to be part of a softball team years ago, and I still have friends from that. But that would have been, if I was a realtor, you know, way back in my early 30s, that would have been a great venue because all those people would have been first-time home buyers. You know, people at school, people at churches, if you have kids and they're in sports, if they're involved. What if there's a neighborhood group? I mentioned I'm part of a chamber. Now, all groups are going to vary. And I even have people asking me, oh, should I join the local chamber? I'm going to say, find out if your chamber sucks or not, because some of the ones do, and they're not worth it. Others are very active, and then they are worth it. Same thing with some of the social clubs. You know, if you wanted to join any of the social clubs, that could be the same thing. Are they really active? Are they not active? You know, but you'll find that out, and then you'll kind of figure out what's going on. You locate, you know, the function with however it is, sort of thing. If they have any meetings or any times you want to get together, you want to be there. Now, I'm going to tell you, yesterday I got about 4.5 hours of sleep. And last night I got to bed late and I got up about 5:30 so I could make it to the breakfast on time. So did I want to sleep in? Yeah. But this morning I made a lot of connections with people and reaffirmed current connections I have with people that wouldn't have happened had I not been there. So determine the time and date of the meetings and make sure you're there or try to be there. Try to get there early. The reason why is if you get there early, you easily get the most interaction with people. And that's going to be some of the key things. Bring 100 business cards, bring plenty of business cards. Now, let's say, there's going to be 25 people there. Well, 100 is maybe overkill, but bring an appropriate amount, bring business cards. The reason why I have a number in there is sometimes people like bring 2. And then it's like, okay, there's 8 people around your table. You probably need more than 2. So that's why just be prepared. If you have a name badge, and as you can see, I have on my name badge today, and it's of my little furry babies. And at the Wake Up Whittier, that's totally appropriate. So I had no problem with that, and so I wore it. Sometimes there's some functions that I don't, wear it because it's like, yeah, it just kind of does it. It seems more awkward than not. So you're going to have to, figure that one out. I even have used a few times if I've gone into a setting and I've left it on. I'm like, oh my gosh, my name badge is still on. It's kind of embarrassing. Let me take that off. But I left it on long enough to where they knew I was a realtor. You got to judge that for yourself, obviously. Connect with as many people as you can. I'm just using 100, let's say there's 100 people there, but connect as many things as you can. And when you interact with people in all of these settings, use the Ford questions. Make the questions open-ended, and it's so easy and you get so much information when you ask hey, what's the one thing? What's the one place? What's the one whatever, sort of thing. What's the one thing in your neighborhood you love about your neighborhood? What's the one place that you guys love to go on vacation? What's the one food that your family always goes crazy over? Any of those sort of things. It allows that to be open-ended. It allows it to have that conversation and deepen that relationship. And even then, let's say you're to follow up with a note card and you can say, at the bottom, hey, it was great meeting you, blah, 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 blah. P.S. I'm so glad I found another sushi fan. That tells you, oh, you paid attention to me. Oh, you took an interest in me. Something I mentioned, you remembered. All of those things really help with that relationship building. So today was all geared towards setting the appointment, getting in front of someone, deepening that, and getting to know more people. And not being afraid, if you noticed, woven right in there is, are you maybe making a business real estate move, if that's appropriate? And do you know of anybody I can help? And even, ask them, do you know of anyone that I can help? Or who do you know that I can help? Would even be a little bit better. Who do you know that I can help with real estate? And thank you for thinking of that. And if they can think of someone, great. If not, hey, well, here's an extra card. So just in case somebody comes to mind, you have no problem sharing. And if you could let me know, that would be great, but I look forward to our next time. And it makes it comfortable, it makes it easy, but then people know that you're asking for business as well. Questions, thoughts? Well, okay. Good, all right, because I knew I was going to pack a lot in there and we just ended right on time. Yay. So thanks for paying attention. I'm going to send out the sheet along. This will be a PDF, so you'll get the sheet as well. So you'll get the copy of the video and the sheet. And this is how I build my business. This is how I'm building it, and I've built it in the past and I'm still working on it. So because it's a continual thing. And it also becomes very enjoyable when you do it this way, because then you get to meet people, deepen those relationships, and people remember you. And then when they need to do business, then they call you. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.